Oh, hey, you guys. You're here. I didn't see anyone here. I was faffing about basically with technology before um, going live. So, hi, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I, so oftentimes I'll just sit and sort of listen and attune with regards to whether or not I do like some tarot. The tarot cards are out, so I may end up pulling some cards. You guys know how I roll. It tends to be quite intuitively guided as per usual. And initially when I came on, I was hearing Living the Dream. And I was reminded of some videos that I made probably over a year ago. Hey Lorna, hi Timothy, how are you guys? Um, yeah, some videos I made, over a year ago. It was actually at the beginning of 2018, and it was about like manifesting your dreams and living your dreams. And at the time, I was living somewhere and working on projects that I knew were like the living of the dream for that phase of my life. The interesting polarity is wicked, watching backlogs of live show crew, awesome. Um, the polarity of posting like the living of the dream was at the same time going through like intense heartache and heartbreak. Um, and I kind of review these different phases of life, like holy Shazbot. I think that here's the polarity for today's share as well around a deeper trust. So the idea of living the dream, as it were, and then the reminder of how, especially because I'm obviously on all of the unplug content presently, and interesting to me because I have been checking Facebook. I posted a shout out on Facebook. I was going to go live and then I didn't because I didn't want to in the end. And this time, this unplugging feels really different for me because I'm highly enjoying not being on that hamster wheel of posting and checking my phone the way I used to. And I noticed I had a bit of a backlog of messages on, hey Jessica, how are you? I had some messages on Facebook Messenger. And it was interesting because somebody, maybe a couple weeks ago, I don't know the timeline, but somebody messaged, like, I noticed you're not posting on social media. Just checking that you're okay. And I mean, I sit with that, and I know on the surface, like it's a totally kind thing. Like I'm thinking of you, or I'm not seeing your postings, and so. But there again, this is somebody who is sort of from a past life, and as in my last phase of my career, and um, it's interesting to me that we can kind of quickly shoot off a message like that, sort of almost like a message of concern. And then it triggered something I posted about uh, recently. One of the posts at one point started talking about how I'm aware of like this this incessant connection that we have with the social media platforms in as far as validating our existence. And what was interesting to me about this message specifically, that was sort of expressing some level of concern about like, where have you gone? Like, I'm not seeing you on social. And then I thought to myself, but that was like a couple weeks ago. And I thought, well, if there's a genuine concern, surely one, maybe this person would have my phone number to check. Two, you can always check via my website, YouTube, or email. And this message of concern was only thrown out on the Facebook and then kind of left and dropped. And I thought, wow, it is interesting that I'm not as present on social media, and there's a sort of flippant moment of, hey, where are you? But there's no real sense of that. And so it's like, I don't know, there's something in that, our connectivity and the sense of, like, not being connected the way we're normally connected is somehow we're not in existence anymore. Um, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but anywho, that's the social media train that I'm on. I did, however, I got a message from one of you responding to the challenge. So I sent a shout out and I've posted it on the community page here about like the unplug challenge and unplugging from social media, unplugging except for YouTube, also love TV, obey. um, unplugging from Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and um, just being more present, And I'm amazed at how much I don't miss it because it's like any sort of thing that when we're ready to let it go and we're ready to release it, we don't miss it because we're making a conscious choice to focus on other things. And I am actually really enjoying being more present and making more conscious choices versus almost not even realizing that I was in this loop of like having to share this and share that. And I've now started writing for week 5 of Unplug for Freedom. And in the week 5, because the first 4 weeks we focus on like what you're unplugging from TV, news, magazines, radio, and then and then we move on to the social medias, and then we move on to the devices. And by week 5, it's all about that shift of reconnecting. So I'm talking about meditation and relaxation. I'm talking about conscious movement and play. I'm talking about nature. And it's just fascinating to me how my own personal life is like lining up with these creative projects because I really see the value in it. And yesterday I had like a nap around, I don't know, midday-ish. And I knew when I woke up, like I wanted to go for a walk. And I knew that going for a walk would invigorate me to finish writing the nature section about going outside and playing. And I'm just well aware that not ingesting this sort of incessant stream of information is somehow really good for my own sense of aliveness, my own sense of clarity um, around directing consciousness, and that is also what leads to this share. And this has been coming up pretty powerfully and regularly. Those of you in live share crew, we talked about this yesterday, but like this deeper trust, this awareness of a deeper trust is starting to come through me. Like it's so visceral. It's so like in the cells of my beingness around like all of the things that we can get attached to chasing and all of the distractions that we can be involved in without even realizing that we're involved in. And yes, I'm aware, like even as I speak these words, I'm sure there's a whole host of, different challenges and awarenesses that will continue to come to light for me in my own personal life. And yes, there's like these little fears and nuances that come through us when we disengage from the social status, as it were, because that's so much about these social media platforms are about, or proving a status or making a point about our own impressiveness or our own validity. And you guys know the score. Like I share this stuff because I'm aware of it, because I'm it too. So it's never like the vegan course or the unplugged course is about making people feel bad about eating meat or watching TV, but it is about addressing like uh, in a really simple sense, it's just like, what are we really doing? What are we really doing with all of these things that we're creating, and are they really connector points? I'm really calling that into question now in myself, like, because I think we can go around and be like, oh no, we stay connected that way, and da da da, and I'm like, but I'm not sure that we're truly connecting on these more whimsical sites. I think for me the difference here is that you guys are real, and I've been working on this channel for so long now that there's a connection. There is, and that has to do with me, my personal point of attraction as around like the way that I've been guided on the YouTube platform to continue to share the message, to continue to share the process, and to continue to be really open, honest, and vulnerable. And because of the commitment here, where I've not quite sustained the commitment on Facebook or Instagram in the same way, because I feel it's such a quick, like, just I don't know what I'm gonna. It's just, it's like the past. It's like a stream. It's just like a stream of information, and we might hop onto a rock and ride that stream for a certain amount of time. And I guess what I'm getting now is that we can either be invested in that stream of information or invested in consciously directing our own stream and flowing with the energy of that stream. And I gotta say, one thing that is true in me in the here now, since deleting the apps and consciously choosing to kind of step off that boat, as it were, is that I know that I'm feel more trust in myself. I know that I feel, and it's not out there. It's like this visceral cellular trust of like, I'm okay, like I'm good. Just be an MJ in this little corner of the world and this little corner of the internet, that like um, it's all enough, basically. And I think that's the polarity of when I was in that chasing, mode. I couldn't, one, I couldn't see the fear that was driving me, and then two, I just didn't quite realize it was the same hamster wheel that I talk about the 9 to 5s, or the, just going to work back and forth. I actually somehow managed to construct that same reality for myself, like waking up mega early and then doing this and doing this and doing this and making sure you're hitting all these different targets and making sure that you're, getting the message out there. And I could feel this, that chasing, and I'm like, well, what's under that? John Beanie, everybody. It was his birthday this weekend. I was a little late. I do apologize, John. I was late sending you a message, but it's John Beanie's birthday this weekend, everybody. Happy birthday. Timothy Riley, MJ has her spidey senses lit up. Spidey senses. And now, so I'm going through some of the comments. My lovers. Focus on now on us and perfect tools that we need to be in full authenticity. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Coming world to an end, December 21st. That's the that's the solstice. Yeah, I knew I could rely on you guys to give John Beanie some birthday love. When was it, John? The 8th? December 8th, was it? I knew that I missed it, and then I missed it again. I was like, and then this morning I was like, I'm sure I did. Maybe it was Messenger. While I was like perusing my old messages, I sent John a message. Anyway, love from within. Yeah, that's true. Any of it anymore. I too had some people reach out asking if I was, right. So you guys feel me around the kind of the curiousness of getting these messages like, are you okay? You're not posting on social media all the time, like all of us all the time. And you're like, oh no, I'm still existing. Like I'm totally alive, actually really enjoying my freedom in my life. I'm not spending my days going like this, posting about my life on the social media. And what I'm discovering is, like, we all know this already, but like it's true in a visceral sense, is that, there she is. Like, oh yeah, that girl. Oh yeah. Oh, I remember how to be connected to myself and not need validation through my phone. And I genuinely, with the YouTube, for whatever reason, it just vibrationally feels a little bit different. And when I'm sitting here with you guys having my morning coffee at 4:44 in the morning, I feel like have like this is a sesh, just like for all those years I was waking up going to do a yoga class with people. This is the new work, and essentially this is what this whole year, this whole shape-shifty transformational year has been, almost this like wild and really random kind of scary ride of just getting me into like owning that this is the new routine now. And like you're just gonna have to deal with it. And some of these last threads, as it were, or final threads of removing myself from the insanity of social media when it comes to I guess business in such a way, but business from new paradigm perspective doesn't, in my awareness anyway, doesn't really follow the old business model, because it has a different point of attraction ultimately. Lori agrees, totally different vibe, can't do Facebook anymore. Well, and I think increasingly with disclosure energies as well, that we um it's insidious. There's insidious things going on behind the scenes, I think. And um but isn't it funny when you make those leaps and those changes, and then there's other worlds that you feel more or less a part of. um and this, everything we're talking about now, is more kind of reflection proof to me that like everything's accelerating. I've never been one to post all too much. Yeah. Well, and I got it, and I know that, and I'm aware with some of you, you're, yeah. Um, I want to say maybe you have like just a healthier relationship with it. And then I was like, just thinking, so he put Timothy's no ego, and I'm like, yeah, there's likely less egoic attachment to it, possibly. And so you don't maybe have the same like seeking self in it that I've been undoing, but I do still spend time scrolling. Yeah. And the scrolling, in fairness, just as well, like that is like, I was at some point, I still probably have an intention to maybe post content. uh, I still don't want to be the one that has to post it though. But the scrolling is also what I was like, this isn't serving me. Like the scrolling of other people's info posts. And I mean, I'll always sit with myself because I'm also aware that it's to do with like, um, I don't even know the word. I'm getting something like the confusion and the lies, possibly, like, and then also this feeling of everybody's fighting for a spot. Everybody's like vying to be seen, to be heard, to be, and there again, that's the reflection of my own energy stream of like that. And that, I guess that's part of why I've detached, why I've come away from it, is that I don't, uh, once you're aware of something, so once I could become aware of that, like, and like, like, oh no, I don't need to prove that about myself anymore. Like, there again, it comes back to just this rather innocent space within self of like, oh, I'm okay. Like I can just post here where my friends are, where my internet soul tribe exist, and I can focus here. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense. Why would you focus where it just feels like it's like that, versus focusing on where the love is, focusing on where the feeling of real roots and community is. What up, Brenda? So yeah, we're unplugging for freedom right here. And I'm aware, that the most part we're already unplugged, that most of us are, or that's part of how we vibrate on this frequency together. I have no doubt about it. That's partly of, because of the way this channel has evolved, like I know that it's because you're all vibing on a certain frequency that you managed to find Ultra Love TV anyway. And so most of us who truly connect here are more than likely already unplugged and or are on the journey of unplugging, hence looking for other plug-in sources, right? Looking for maybe a more grounded expression, maybe a more, yes, dolphin. They will know we exist as a heart. Hmm. For sure, John. Yeah. If it was an animal creature, what do you think you would exist as? Ooh. Ooh. Hi, Daniel. How are you, my friend? If I was an animal creature, but John's put dolphin there, and I'm kind of with you on that. There, I'm like, I dig on it. I'm thinking like a bird of some sort, so that I could fly. Um, Kismet. I'm not sure what a kismet is. I'm thinking of like a gorilla, or a gorilla, or like a, yeah, like bird or anything that just has quite a lot of agility, like a gorilla or a monkey or something where I can just like swing and play. And um but the flying is also like a big one for me as well. Do you guys ever have flying dreams? I keep getting a recollection of a dream I had really quite early on. I'm sure I was a child when I had this dream, but it's so present in my awareness that it just felt like a dream I've had on the regular. My daughter just told me her snake. Snakes fart? Or was it her own farting that woke her up? um, yeah, so the flying dream, and this dream that keeps coming back more present recently as well. I feel it's so symbolic of like my life path. But so this dream early on was just almost like a video game, but I could fly because that was always a recurring theme. I could either jump really high and like suspend, like these are kind of flying dreams where I literally, it felt really real. Do you guys feel me? Like whenever I have flying dreams, it feels really real because even in my humanness in the dream, I'm always like, whoa. And then like I steady myself and I'm like, okay, I've got this. I've got the hang of it. I'm good to go. You're also surprised. Snake fart, everyone. I just imagine it's sounding snaky, like. So this flying dream is basically like an obstacle course or a maze, and I'm me flying through this maze, and I'm looking for like colorful eggs. Like I'm looking for different colored eggs that are hidden in different spots. Yes, Timothy, traveling in your sleep. So this is where I'm realizing like certain dreams that we remember have definite significance to our life journey. And so this dream is sort of symbolic to me at this point in my life of like my own journeying in life in this body of like flying to these different destinations looking for these golden eggs, like, and it felt like a race. I remember in this dream as well, like it felt like a race. Like I had to get to these specific destinations. And like, and then all these years later, I feel like I've hit those checkpoints. Like I've managed to find the different things that I had to find and the golden egg. And the fact that these certain premonitory dreams are at this point in my life coming back to me is also symbolic of like the culmination of completion of certain karmic cycles in our lives. Um, yeah, and just more of the like walking in the landed energy of new paradigm. It's very enfolded in itself. It's very like an energy of implosion versus like explosion, if that makes sense on some weird level. Oh. Lucid dreaming, and I must say, like, I'm really not like any kind of expert awareness around astral travel or one of you guys is more, I want to say omega, like some of you I know are more aware of that consciously. I couldn't even necessarily tell you the difference between dreaming and lucid dreaming, or I mean, astral traveling is in my awareness when your spirit self basically leaves the physical body consciously and goes off and does stuff, you know? But dream work, certainly. And so now I'm bridging into this interesting thought of how it's all dream work as well. It's like because the more aware we are in, I guess, more expanded frequencies or more anchored in intuition or infinite intelligence, because the life that we live called life, it is a dream in essence. It's a dream of our own creation, and part of the undoing of kind of the nightmare aspect of this dream is to own it as the dream and then integrate, process, regenerate it into another dream. But it's just it's just we're having to integrate it in the fullness of our bodies to truly transform the energies. Mm. And and this is where in New Paradigm Community, no, a backup platform in the event of a YT purge. No. Yes. Interesting that you're asking. So everything would probably get every if there were ever all social medias like going whatevs, I would. Life is but a dream, sweethearts. Hi, Elf. Nice to see you. Hi from Nepal. So, in the event of a YT purge, we would probably meet on Alta Love, Alta Love, the website, because I've been looking at the platform for all of the Be the Change courses. Because right now I'm still using YouTube. It's an Alta Love YouTube channel, just not this one, because all the playlists are private, obviously. All the same. So basically, based on my recent tech work behind the scenes, I've discovered that on Alta Love I can actually stream videos. I can and I can create libraries of videos and stuff like that. So thank you for bringing that to the table, gracious love. Now that is an awareness that we can still meet, maybe on a different platform, but it would be on Alta Love, the website. I mean, gosh, that would be just the juiciest, wouldn't it? Cardboards, I don't know. I need to know how to do that. Well, I do too. I'm sharing as I go with you guys. Like, it's not necessarily full on yet, and I haven't looked into it. The separation of the realms is dissolving. Dreams, reality, all the same. That is a significant, visceral, like, awareness for me. And I kind of feel like that's been something, I don't know if you guys will res with this, but so ultra love, Timothy. So Elf herself agreed, divine sight. So the separation of realms is dissolving. Dreams and reality are all the same, indeed. And that is that expression of like the kind of merging is something that in my beingness I feel I've been like living that, like like so often throughout my life in my beingness I'm aware that this is an illusion, that this is a dream, you know, and yet I don't want to disqualify this dream as any less or more than any other, you know, as far as what's going on in the imagination, what's going on different consciousness levels of our beingness, you know. Because it's all relevant to our unique essence as a soul. It's all, yeah, it's all useful and relevant and beautiful and allowed, it's allowed to exist. So Timothy, that's the Alta Love website. I love that though. I feel like we should also have a platform called Ultra Love TV. It's never been separate, just more and more obvious and more challenging to discern the difference. Hmm. See, interesting. That is making me think though of the constructed program of separation, which is the veil that we've lifted and are endeavoring to usher more and more people to also lift. um, it's kind of like it feels. So this is all intuition right now. It feels like one being. It's like unless you move into the heart field and integrate those denser emotions, you don't quite survive the upgrade, if that makes sense, in the body, that is. And then the soul, and that's where you then almost like recycle the soul to then incarnate and go through certain patterns again. I know in my life that's when I've gone against the grain, and these are transformational cycles. um, but once I've gone against the grain, it's intuition guidance that are the moments that we can break certain patterns. So taking leaps beyond the veil, doing things where people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And you're like, "But intuition is telling me I have to do it." I know for a fact that those moments, and then I created a situation back in my early 20s where I didn't listen to intuition, and I ended up in toxic patterns. So that life journey, and you could say I had to live it to know the difference, right? But then when it came round to take another leap against the odds kind of thing, I knew in my beingness, if I don't do it, I have to go around again. And or you could just say living in shitty. I love you guys. Like, I fucking love you. I just have to stop everything that I'm doing and go, look at this cosmic connection and snake parts. You're like, this is my home. This is my family. That we can all have a good laugh about cosmic connections and farting. But not just any old farts, snake farts. Oh my god. Oh my god. And so now I'm getting the fact, this is how I know like we're all one whole tribe, is like you just put the waking dreams. And that is making me think about how before I changed the title of this share, the share was going to be entitled Living the Dream. Because what's happening is like, I think more and more humans are living the dream, and which is relevant to this feeling within us, is this merging of the two, and also the fact that we have our beingnesses are in service to paradigm shift, because we're having this resonant connection of what's the difference. And also, dare I say, the part of the reflection of knowing how much work we've been doing is the fact that we're all connected. And then also the fact that I'm like, and that's part of the surrender piece, is like the way that we live our lives. Like, I know just in my own beingness, like the fact that I wake up at 2 a.m. and I go to bed whenever and have naps whenever. And like, I just have, there's like no resistance to the listening of the body. There's no resistance to the being at one with intuition, even when it's uncomfortable. I mean, that's something to be aware of. It's not like I want to perpetually live in discomfort necessarily, but it isn't. I think this is what's happening now with 2020 Astro as well, is that now there's just this settling in. There isn't as much, I would say, like deep purging as much as now it's just this settling into these energies as the legit energy, you know? Oh, yay, dream. Yay, dream, divine sight coming back to check in. Well, and that's part of soul tribe connectivity, connection. We are all, connected through frequencies. And yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't really have it any other way, if I'm honest. I love these shit chats. I love these chit chats, these cosmic fart chats. Oh, John Beanie farts. So I'm getting another recollection of, and like this is the Soul Tribe Familia, but um, we're my family, like my sister and I would always laugh at each other if we farted, or like if one of our parents farted, we would always laugh. And depending on the kind of mood my parents were in, they would also laugh or be like, "Girls, smart." Girls, smarten up. Or like if my sister and I were too much laughter at church, we'd get separated. Don't have to be disempowered as an empathic. Oh, Timothy, no boy. Um, no, and I would hazard a guess that Ultra Love TV is a special space for empowering empaths specifically. And gosh, isn't life bizarre? Like I end up being guided just in my weird introvert life. I get guided to write this book after 15 years of spiritual practice and study and living of the life. And I get guided to write this book. And then after publishing the book is when I had my encounters with narcissism and emotional abuse. But clearly that was there all along. But because I'd published the book, my own fucking book was my permission slip to be like, no, actually, you're responsible for your emotions. I even wrote about it in this fucking book. and and I realize now, all these years later, that the Fearless Life Guide is really a guide for empowering empaths. People who get swept up into other people's shitty emotions and want to try to fix it for everybody else. And I'm like, no, no, we're aware enough now. The humanity that we're aware enough now. And God, it's so bizarre to me because so many people that I endeavored to help and support and care for and just be such a good person, I look back now and I think, God, they had everything. They had all the support that they needed. Why did they need me? It was just nice for them. It was convenient for them to have this nice little person to come and do a bunch of stuff for them. And so when I wanted to break free, there was a bunch of emotional manipulation going on because it was nice for them. It was convenient, but it wasn't nice for me, and it wasn't convenient for me. And there wasn't true support. It was distorted. And I recognize now, absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, those distortions come out of my own disempowerment as an empath, my own woundedness, my own childhood wounding of just wanting to make my parents feel better, wanting everybody to be happy, and we have the interesting thing about the empath is that we have very crafty ways of pleasing people, of making them feel good about themselves, which is a beautiful gift, but we shouldn't be using that as our own disempowerment, right? We shouldn't be spending our energy empowering other people to be responsible for their thoughts and their feelings when they're just not. And that I think is what continues to astound me is like our resistance to this next leap, to this conscious creatorship um, movement, as it were, because this is the paradigm shift. This is the global shape shifting that we're all here for, essentially. Um, and yet the monumental shape shifting task that is at hand within us is what most people resist. The weird bit, empowering our anger, yeah, for sure. It's like because I write about that. I write about anger in the book because in my awareness, anger is the one that people want to deny. And or are frightened to feel, and there's many different sort of systematic programs why that's the case, which is also quite clever, right? But um, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, we're just programmed to not, and there's all these divide and conquer tactics, and these are all veils. These are all different veils and karmic breaks almost that's the fact that we're integrating and doing the work the way that we're doing it in a conscious way, quite miraculously, it is something that all of you, like any soul who wants to move from one level of existence to another, has to go through all this emotional shit that we've done and transformed and moved through. It can, I believe, en masse be easier for some to take a leap because of the I want to say something like energetic coding of specific soul groups. Um, Wrath for righteousness. Yeah, it can feel like wrath. I've had certain emotional storms that have definitely felt like wrath. And I had that, and that was like a flip around once I started to empower myself, is actually when I had some of the most explosive and angry reactions. But it wasn't, when I look back at there's two scenarios specifically that I'm thinking about, and I was in an abusive situation, and then another time where someone was trying to get me to go back into that abusive situation, and the anger that came through me was like the hand of God. I swear to God, it was. I had never seen, ever in my life, I'd never seen that kind of energy come out of me, but I knew upon reflection that that was like the intuitive sword. That was like this sort of protective energy, a divine protective energy, just being like, thou shalt not pass. Like you don't have any right to, it was something, it was like a mother anger that because I don't have kids, I'm like, I wouldn't even know that kind of protective energy, but that was the kind of energy that I felt was coming out of me and over me, and just being like, no. Um, so I completely disagree with that. um, anger is not, and this is a thing, right? This is part of why I think the Fearless Life Guide is important, and this conversation continues to be important, is that our emotions are not what we think they are. And if anything, anger comes because we're trying to control our emotions. And anger is a reflection of our disempowerment over generations. To me, anger is a reflection of all the many ways that we give our power away. And once we try to empower ourselves, we have to feel all those slights, all those ways that we've disowned ourselves. That's why we're angry, And then once you if you have the discipline to sit with anger and not react against it. Anger is always, in my personal process, anger is always covering up wounds. So anger is like when you move through the heat or of wrath or anger or rage or contempt, when you move through, usually you feel anger as like a burning, burning rage somewhere through the central channel. And if you can sit with through the heat of that anger and notice, one, the divisive nature of your thoughts, or the blame and attack energy of your thoughts, and then two, just keep breathing through the anger, usually there'll be like this shift, and suddenly maybe sadness, tears, pain, and then deeper still, if you can keep going, that's when I talk about you sit with the initial trigger, which would be anger, and then you move through it, you feel pain, you feel waves of energy moving through you, and then eventually you're in a full-blown storm where you're processing various timelines of disempowered co-creation, even just little habits you might be in that are not healthy, and then you'll feel compassion. I'm not, there's probably like a 4-hour process, maybe less. I'll never forget that first time, and I was working through control patterns around cleanliness, like OCD, and I saw all these different moments in my life that I was bullied into doing something, or told that I was a piece of shit and so I should do this better or whatever, in that one moment, in that one emotional storm. And this was going back, this is probably in 2012. I didn't want to sabotage another relationship, and so I owned my anger instead of blamed the person I was with, and it changed the game, you know? And especially in some of our pretentious spiritual communities, anger is something that is far too denied. And like people will just sit there in annoyed anger and pretend like they're not feeling anything. And those are the people in my life that I've had to walk away from, people that have so much repressed anger, and they're really really good at just sitting there like like in their self-righteousness, making you out to be a crazy person or making you out to be some big monster, and not realizing that I'm just acting out their unconscious projection. I'm acting out their deep-seated hatred to women. I'm acting out their deep-seated anger toward their mother. I'm acting out what have you. And that's where I know it was a hand of intuition, because then after it would end, when I had those experiences, when it would end, I would just fall to my knees and have like a breakdown, reach the phone, call my mother, call someone close to me, and just be like, what's happening? Why did I do that? What did And then I'd basically be just pleading with my mother, being like, I don't want to go back. She's like, you don't have to go back. You're free. You don't have to go back there. And it would just be like this, like, and that's something. And then often off the back of those situations, then I don't know. I'm at a point now, thankfully, where I don't feel the need to psychoanalyze other people. I don't feel the need energetically, emotionally speaking. I can intuitively pretty much suss out where people are and why things had to happen and da 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 da. On a higher level, I can usually understand on both parties why we have to do certain things, and then we can come back in a greater understanding, in a greater loving connectivity. But the people I've walked away from are just um, where we couldn't meet, and usually the non-able to meet was a place where um, other basically almost like on an intellectual emotional level couldn't understand what I was talking about. I'd be like, well, what are you feeling now? And it wouldn't matter what they were feeling. And I was like, oh, but that's what my whole mission is about. Emotions matter. The fact that you're feeling annoyed, frustration, blah, 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 that matters. And it can't just always be me who's feeling everything in this situation and who's responsible. That's the overarching wounding of an empath, is that we're always responsible for everybody and we have to make it better for everybody and we have to, da da da. And of course, if you're in the power seat telling everybody what to do all the time, and then um suddenly somebody tries to tell you what to do and you don't like it, like you'll just get rid of that person. And this is something where I'm game changing. This is something that I'm game changing in myself. But my relationships have to be in equanimity. That's the biggest difference. But that's also part of this share of the deeper trust. Me connecting to myself in a deeper way, where I'm trusting more of who I am and what I want and what I desire and blah 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 blah. That is also what is helping me to draw in people who feel more generous, people that I don't have to tiptoe around, or people that I don't feel obliged to do certain things with them because of their neediness, which is often like the empath would feed that neediness basically, because they're so good at doing what people want for them. Right. That is something I think for a lot of us. So you guys might resonate, but what I'm reading Divine Sight moment of never seeing healthy expressions of anger. Right. And then, um, and then healthy expressions. Right. And that's sort of some of the environment that I would have grown up in, was like an empath with a passive aggressive person. So, and this is all really, not obvious to people because it's all covert, because the one person is passive. They're not expressing authentically anything, and so they act it out in different ways, and they sabotage or sabotage other. That's the one thing, is that for somebody not owning their lives, they project that this like they try to keep everybody where they want them, right? And they use different manipulative tactics, emotional and mental tactics, which are more clever than physical abuse, because you can get away with it longer, or so it would appear. And this is also part of the next evolution of our species, is the pain body. It's what Eckhart talks about, of like, we don't quite realize the multi-layeredness and the distortion of the all the relationships that we're in on a collective level. And I this is why we don't need to try to work it out for everybody else. Or when channels like this, we might talk about something and people want to come along and be like, who do you think you are? Or like, how dare you be joyful when there's all these issues in the world? And I'm like, well, those issues are for those people to clean up. I've got my own, and we all have our own. So why don't we focus on cleaning up our own, standing in our truth, standing in our power, and moving through the world in that empowered way, rather than feeding all these structural, societal, codependent relationships among groups of humans that don't actually serve the whole and only serve to keep certain low-level constructed patterns in place. That's all the reality is collective agreements that are held there through people's attention to them. It's yeah, your hat's dope. Thank you. Do you know, it's not mine, it's my roommate's. But I joked with her yesterday because I normally see her when she's waking up for work. And this hat has been on the kitchen table for a good few days, right? And I said to her yesterday, I was like, you watch out. If you leave that hat there for too long, I will wear it. So I'm wearing it. So if she ever saw this, I don't think she watches my content though, so it's fine. Right, anger as violence. That was coming in for me about this share. Actually, was like, that is part of the repressive tactic. Is that, if, for example, as a broad sweeping statement, I think a lot of men, good men, they repress their anger because they fear that anger is violent. Social programming, right? He's trying to hit me. Nah. All of this, the feminist stuff, it's still a divisive tactic. No, we shouldn't hate each other. But when you're in an abusive relationship, the anger is hard to repress. And continuing repressing that anger is where you get the violence. That's why people act out when they get drunk or when they get triggered in the wrong way, because as a society, whoa, why are you being so fucking angry? Because you're a fucking dick. Like, because none of us are allowed to feel anything beyond, joy, misery. Just try to stay in that bandwidth of emotional frequencies. 8 billion people. When behind our backs, or just in plain daylight, we're just going to drop some bombs. We're just going to enslave a bunch of people. We're just going to corrupt your mind with TV, but don't get angry about it. Okay? Thank you. And I think, well, anger is a big fucking piece. Our ability, I know that. My firsthand experience is like this, me being able to feel my anger and let it move me. It's who I am today because I let myself feel anger. Empaths don't do anger, I hope. Oh, hells yeah. But this is a big piece, you guys. There's nothing wrong with anger. Feeling anger is different than reacting in anger. It's different than acting out in anger. It's different than actually, we can say things in our power. And this is something more probably for maybe women, but I'm not sure. But like, I have had moments where I'm just feeling quite passionate and I'm like getting riled up and people are like, whoa, 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 like stop being so aggressive. And I'm like, no, I'm not being aggressive. I'm sharing my voice. I'm sharing my truth, and people misinterpret that. And that's like another piece. I'm like, there's so much, misguided information, I think, collectively speaking, around our emotions. We just snap react, we snap judge around other people, again, rather than just being able to hold space. And that, I would say, something a lot of empaths are quite gifted at, just holding space, like just watching and letting people be where they are. I find, if anything, even working in certain healing situations, sometimes we're too quick to try to. I've even, when I was going through mega grief, I remember going to see not a shamanic, a shiatsu healer, and I was having amazing, like, they were just touching, and I was having an amazing emotional release. And even in that context, I remember she trying to be like, okay, just like, okay, settle down now, settle down. And I remember thinking, like, no, I'm in this safe space. I'm going to release everything I need to release, just because my emotion is making you uncomfortable, that's not my issue. But it's just amazing to me that we live in this physicalized war machine world, and yet in our interpersonal relationships, or in our quote unquote empathic or spiritual communities, just put a lid on your anger, though. Like, your anger has no place here. And I'm like, except we're still wreaking havoc on different nations. There's a connection there. We're blindly consuming. We do things mindlessly, and yet when it comes to our healing, it just has to be so. Like, that doesn't make sense, especially, again, for the empath, who can sometimes feel that it, like, keeping a lid on it, or the fact that we go around, I'm so concerned, I'm so worried about them. No, you're not. Most people are just on mental loops. I'm sure I am as well, until I'm not. Most people just go around in story time about different people, places, and things in their reality, but they're not conscious of creating their reality. And that is part of the bridge, I would say. Like, we joked, I think, in the live share 2 days ago, like, pardon me, walking along a bridge, we're now stepping to the other side. That's what the energy feels like to me, which is why it's a deeper trust, is because I'm stepping into a planet and a home where I feel safe to be myself, anger and all, and I'm off that bridge. And you know, if people want to walk along that bridge, they can do it for themselves. But I'm not going to spend my time on this new beautiful planet, in this new beautiful frequency, spending the whole of my time shouting over at everybody, trying to get them to see the light. I'm like, I just want to enjoy the light. I want to enjoy being myself. I want to enjoy being free with emotionally intelligent adults. I'm like, is that so much to bloody ask? Do you know what that's making me think of? Um, Timothy's comment. I'm getting a flashback of a step off, which is from School of Rock. Scott's a lot in the house. Hey, Scott. Morning, my friend. How are you? Or good evening. Good afternoon. If the thought of traffic, rape, and murder and sugar doesn't make you completely irate, I don't want any thanks. Right. Exactly. It's that. It's continuously going back to that. I'm like, people, until we're living in some kind of utopian society, your anger is valid. Trust. And you're probably not angry. We stay too small in our little safe bubbles, and we're all fucking contempting and hating on and angry at, but we want to pretend like we're not. People just fucking moan and bitch, not realizing that comes from a place of separation that is hurting their heart. But we don't, I guess it's like, people don't see it because they're not feeling it. They're not fully alive. I mean, they are, but you know what I mean? It's that dystopian, fragmented aspect of self. We're like, come on, people. But then that's, I guess, we're all part of that until we're not. Hence pioneering the other, pioneering being able to have open-hearted conversations, being able to go through sticky times and then come back together. Like, I think it's that our ability to just respect one another because we respect ourselves, and not expecting anything from each other. Ultimately, why? Because we're creators. You can create it for yourself. Make the hat alter. I sometimes miss teaching yoga, and then that makes me think of how I definitely, in Nafuta now, I definitely will be hosting some fun event where I can do yoga with all y'all lovers. Oop, I just spat and it leaked down my chin. Yeah, that way. That's a choice, my friend. Or anger is a feeling like all the others. It's if you're present enough with the anger, it will move, right? Um, and see, I mean, that's possibly an aspect of discipline when I can feel. I mean, anger is pretty powerful. It's quite consuming. I I can't vibrationally feel into like anger and happiness at the same time. It's more that anger, you could probably breathe and make space to hold space for the anger. And that makes you feel okay about having the anger. Um, I am happy. I can feel anger. There's a piece as well. That's like me being like almost like blissfully like it's like I find it so beautiful sometimes when I can feel sadness and like when crying with gratitude and like sometimes like deep emotion. I'm just like, oh yeah, baby. Oh, this feels so good. Especially when it's warranted. Like when they're, you guys know, like cycles, there's different times that we can almost feel it coming up. And then when it actually comes to break, you're like, oh, yes. Oh, having a good cry, right? I'm happy I can feel a full arsenal. Boom, there it is. And like that's, I guess, the empathic way, and also what we call new paradigm. New paradigm is just emotionally open humans rather than disconnected. Like we use all these fancy words. I'm like, your connection piece is connected to the point where you feel your feelings and you hear your thoughts and you consciously choose. The point is that the thoughts, the repetitive thought patterns that are on loop are usually divide and conquer, fear-based, separation-based thought form, because that's what we were indoctrinated by. That was our unconscious choosing. And people talk about the soul contract or the invisible contracts that we have with different institutions, and you could say some. I think it was Divine Sight mentioned the cabal yesterday. So the overarching constructed illusion of the matrix and the 3D reality is other beings dictating that and manipulating that and controlling that. So we have within our divine right the opportunity to disengage those contracts, basically saying, like I remember whatever, but like you're also, you did it really sly. So your contracts are null and void. You know, it's not about pulling the wool over, not from the aspect of divine. So, being aligned with the divine energies is ultimately where it's at. Where in your divine presence, yeah, you can let your body feel anger. You can let your body feel sadness. You can let your body, that's what I'm aware of. That's what I call it, the karmic backlog, is that we're transforming genetic codes. This is where, again, it takes sometimes people a bit of a leap or transformational awareness, energy, to be able to do the abstract leap in the mind, is that the emotions that you feel and are often reacting against are actually inherited. The genetic coding in your body, i.e. the energy that you are, i.e. the emotions that you feel in a reactive patterned way, those are inherited through karma. Those are inherited through your genetic bloodline. So you can either keep acting out the program unconsciously or come alive. And the coming alive means that you're integrating parts of your personal inheritance. And in you integrating your divine blueprint, you are transforming base tones that you're carrying from past generations. Through lineage, and then ultimately as well your own personal karma. So personal, and I'm still deciphering. I think maybe down the line when more of us come together to do work together, we might be able to offer tangible tools to people about the difference and how to tell the difference. Mostly the body, in my awareness, the body purges are much more ancestral, where the imaginative visions have more to do with our personal karma. The imagination, when we're working with people on a quantum level, when we can see different aspects of self in a cosmic relationship, that's our personal karma. When we have visions of another time, that's our personal karma. And then we can still integrate that. But then when it's like feeling this, feeling ugly, or feeling persecuted, or feeling fat, or feeling ugly, those themes that are more to do with our actual body in this world are like ancestral, and they go together. I believe in the here now. I'm like, you have to empower and open your stargate. Like you have to start to be open to your cosmic origin as a unique individual soul to have the power to transform your ancestral backlog. Because from what I can tell, it's a fairly rigorous process, and you kind of have to, for a certain amount of time anyway, pretty much die to the world that we were programmed to buy into. Feed it nothing, and just purely focus on your own healing and your own process and your own transformation. The fire with the tribe. I love that. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. For reals, my father turned to me the other day and said, I think we're both raised by angry people. And that's something like feedbacking off of that share. So, well, when emotions are motion, energy moving, the only reason we ever feel anything is because there's continual movement. Emotions are not stopping emotion. Emotions are moving energy, which is healthy, which is positive. I must have grown up with angry, and this is something I'm aware of. It's like there's this whole bandwidth of probably just people in the world who have lots and are going through like the reality, and it's like nice, it's great, everything's fine, everything is fantastic. And like for me, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much anger. There's so much repressed anger here. There's so much contempt. Where it's only like my openness around like resentment or jealousy and that thread. And then I'm like, contempt is really powerful, because contempt is less about anger. It's more about hatred. It's the fact that there's such profound disconnection to source self that it's like a black void. It's like a black hole, and that's all you know. And so like the light in others, or like other people generally, that's where white supremacy comes from. That's where superiority comes from. That's why as an empath, we want to permission more and more empaths who normally would have the opposite of that. They have inferiority complex, right? We want to empower more empaths to rise into their balanced state, so they can show people an example of greater harmony as a being, versus those subtle, invisible threads of superiority, which only serve to pull people down and make people feel bad about who they are, basically. The universe delights in our healing, sure does. Oh, hi, Timothy. Art, dance, swim, sing, drum. Yes, yes. Damn it! Do you hear me? Yeah. Well, and I feel you guys, because that is another part of the Unplug for Freedom course. That's the section that I'm basically writing right now, is like, now that you're not plugged into this fearful propaganda and you're able to hold space for your own emotional patterns, start to direct that excess energy. If you're not feeding a propagated story of fear and separation, then you're going to have more time to play. Playing won't necessarily be people's natural default after being plugged in for 20 years. But certainly this is my recommendation to course participants is play, try new things, go to a dance class, go to a swimming class, go take a music workshop, go do fun things and be guided by it. We are creators at the end of the day. So why we don't go out and create more, right? Why don't we go express ourselves more? Why don't we make beautiful things out of the trash? And I know that people are doing this. This is part of also like my awareness as a bridge who's getting ready to step off the bridge, basically. But it's like all the solutions are already within us. The essence of our personal transformation is already done. It's so kind of like perplexing on a mental level because we're so used to controlling and dominating the external world. But that is actually the karma that we've been transforming for most of our lives. So far away, yet so near, right on your screens. Right on your screens, here with you today. Look, it's 1 hour and 11 minutes, you guys. When you step off the bridge, hell's yes. I wanted to but then I realized I have these. Look, oh God, look at me, you guys. That's kind of embarrassing. You feel, and that's the embarrassment of my upbringing of when something's ruined, you throw it away. I'm but they're not ruined. They still keep most of my feet warm. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Look, this is what Divine Sight is talking about. I have wings. And quite flexible legs as well. These are my wings. Infinity symbols on both ankles. But so sometimes, although I must say I have bought more. I've bought more of these big warm socks because they're badass. Obviously. There's nothing like snuggly socks in the wintertime. Or snuggly toques as well. And sweaters, because I've got my sweater here. Oh, look, it's over an hour. I'm losing track. I'm not as focused, you guys. I'm not as focused. Oh, I'll have a look, Elf. Minuteman, I'm with you there. We imagine we know. The know in the mental firm constructed thing is also, to me, what is worthy of perpetually releasing in lieu of just being present with your aliveness. Basically, feel more, think less, be more, think less. And also, yeah, I kind of get bored of the knowingness stuff. I know this. Do you though? Do any of us is and it's the infinite great mystery. I'm can we not just allow it to be a mystery and enjoy the fact that we're here? These are just little simple noodles, little simple questions. It's coming away from this idea of knowing anything at all and just being able to sit here and philosophize with my internet besties. I'm guys, what is life? I'm what is actually happening? I don't know. I'm isn't it okay to not know? Other than whatever I feel intuitively I've come to know about my own self. But then I give everybody else permission to also get to know themselves. I don't want to control people. It's not fun to me. It's hurtful, if anything. Because when we express a desire to control other, it's usually because there's something in ourselves that we're not aware of. Because we think we have to control other to get our needs met. But that's the illusion of separation. That's what the veil is of the constructed 3D grid. Keep everybody thinking they don't know how to defend for themselves, and then keep them bound to the control and domination system, basically. Oh, well, it's just the way it is. There's no way out. I'm like, oh, people, transform your insides. Transform your heart or awaken your heart. Christmas is in the mushrooms? What does that mean other than I'm just like literally having a vision download of like tripping out on mushrooms in Christmas land? That would be really fun. Hard to play. Oh, that's a very Minuteman, totally. That seems to be in connection to like what I was saying about the unplugging course. And even for me, I'm only beginning to get essences of play. I like because life inside me has been so highly pressurized most sorry guys. Highly pressurized. This kind of like drive and ambition to save the world or whatever, and now I'm like, oh, it's not my job. It's not my job. um I have other work to do, like writing these Be the Change online courses, and then also frolicking about the world and be like, hey guys, remember that you create your own reality, and you can heal yourself and live free beyond the illusion of control, basically. But boy, oh boy, it's deep and it's profound, and it's like we put agents around. It's like we ourselves have put the agents of the matrix in place to like make it all a little bit more dynamic, exciting, filmic. We I think we do it to ourselves. I know that I've been noodling with this recently with some of the aspects of my reality of like I do make it quite adventurous. Like, oh, I do like to be risky. I like to risk it all. And like I couldn't play it safe like some people. Although I know that for some people, them playing it safe is mega risky. Like they would probably self combust if they did to themselves what I did to me. Only you and the divine source. That's right. Strange wish wash impossibility. Oh, interesting. With mushrooms, was it? I love the shroom. I actually, and I feel like it might even be in my journal, so I better watch out. But I've definitely been opening to that. It's for support of the next level and being open to like microdosing and doing more ceremony and just helping myself make changes basically. Rather than like think like for my old personality construct, thinking like I had to do it all the time and had to like uphold myself to some invisible, impossible version of a human, even though none of that is real anyway. If that does that make sense to anybody? Like everyone's supposed to be like this, and I'm like, except for nobody's like that. you know hey, what up, Kara? I just had like one of those classic things. A part about the mushrooms with a side order. Do you know, it's interesting, I'm not a mushroom person. The psychedelic sorts, I didn't ever do any really since my like early 20s because it just didn't feel right. And then I didn't understand psychedelics, I don't think, in my early 20s. And the gift was the journey. We were talking about that as well. The journey is the gift. It's not the destination. Um, and then, well, then I was just thinking about how I don't actually like mushrooms as a food source. Never have. And only this year, so like 20 years later, I try mushrooms again, but in a ceremony context, and I did enjoy it. But because of my nature and because I'm quite small and vegan, and I don't ingest a lot of psychotropic stuff, I always take like tiny little bits to basically attune to the frequency, like to feel it basically. Whereas I'm aware that if I just took too much, I could, fall off the deep end, as it were. It's like taking like just the tiniest little bit of MDMA or the tiniest little bit of of the mushrooms, intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is interesting to me because it's like a rage. It's like a dietary craze thing. And I'm like, I swear to God, you guys, if you flow intuish vibrashe, like if you eat intuitively, you will naturally do intermittent fasting. Like I don't have to try to not eat because, oh, it's my fasting day. I'm like, I just have, and it ebbs and flows in a monthly cycle. So depending on where I am in my cycle, like I'll notice myself like one might look at the way I'm eating and be like, "Whoa, you're binging." I'm like, I'm just I have my body is desiring nourishment and food and a lot of it, and it feels really good. It doesn't make me feel like full and gross. I feel really good eating a lot. And then other times in the month, I like a few days will go by and I'll just be like, "Oh, I've had like a smoothie and a piece of fruit, or I've had a bowl of cereal." Like I'll suddenly take track of the last couple of days and be like, there's been very little eating. Um, and I swear to God, it's intuition. It's like the sleeping patterns. It's like the dominant program of like you should eat this at this time and go to bed and sleep for these hours and work and da da da. That whole narrow construct is ultimately what we're breaking free from, and those of us doing it can permission one another to do it because look, we're still alive. It's like you can still live. You're creating your own or integrating your own essential self, which from what I'm discovering, there are no real food patterns, and there are no sleeping patterns either. We all have our own unique um, blueprint around food and any pattern, anything that we do on a regular basis, right? Um, so yeah, and I imagine that will continue to change. But I know that I'm much more productive and efficient by letting myself wake up when I wake up and sleep when I want to sleep and create when I want to create. And you know what I mean? It's like sometimes I don't even know how I get all the shit done. It just gets done. It's like, oh yeah, I wrote a book. I don't, barely remember that. But hey ho, ho hey, hey ho, hey hey. I ate a potato yesterday. Straight up legit. Here's a nice little. Although we've had the chat about avocados. Go easy on the avocados, you guys. They're creating havoc in different countries. But I had a baked potato. It was so good. Baked potato. My mouth is watering. I think I might have a baked potato for breakfast after this. So I had a baked potato and then I like cut it open. Instead of butter, I use coconut oil. You guys know that because I'm a vegan over here. And I know not everybody likes coconut oil, so you could use any oil ultimately, like olive oil or whatever. Or some of those fake butter spreads. I never use those because there's just more shit in them that I don't know what it is. But so chop up the baked potato, put the coconut, like you'd lather it up. My mouth is watering. Like a substantial amount of coconut oil to make it pretty kind of greasy. And then herbamare, which is this sort of like salty mixture of herbs, and probably salt and pepper, half an avocado, and steamed broccoli. That's it. And then I'll usually so they put coconut oil, loads of salt and pepper on the potato, chop up the avocado, lay it on there, add the steamed broccoli, and then just drizzle some olive oil and a little bit more salt and pepper. And yeah, there, yum, mouth watering. We're good to go. That is a delicious meal, super easy. Another really easy one because you don't want to over steam broccoli, right? Or any veg for that matter, unless you're making a nourishing stew. But I'll sometimes this is the easiest thing ever. I'll just chop up some broccoli and veg, put her in with the water, the boiling hot water, for a couple of minutes, and then add the noodles, some rice noodles for a couple of minutes, drain it all, and then you've got some steamed noodles and veg. You can put any veg you want. Obviously, I just like broccoli and carrot. And then I might chop some fresh spring onion or chives, and there you have a noodle dish. And I usually put a stir fry or even just an olive oil, drizzle it on top, and then put some soy sauce on there. It's really good, really easy, really, really simple food. And then this is the thing, the classic debate for vegans, like, how do you get your protein? I'm like, dudes, broccoli has more protein than steak, so just don't worry about it. And then fair enough, like your green vegetables, like your stodgy green veg and like the beans and nuts and stuff, that's all the protein you need, you know? And ultimately, here again, if you're really listening to your intuition and you love yourself, you will always naturally gravitate to the food that is good for you and the food that is natural. And some days you might eat a lot of vegan cake, and that's okay too. you know, for me, it's all about outworking those underlying emotional patterns regarding food. So I just don't feel guilty if I have a day where, I've had a coffee and then I go to a vegan fair and I end up having like 5 vegan cupcakes. It's like I'm allowed to do that because I'm a free human being and I love myself. In fairness, usually like my body, if I do that for like a day or two, I'll tend to just be a bit like "Ugh." Like I want some spinach kind of thing. I'll actually feel that I want some green stuff to get rid. Eat for your blood type. Oh yeah, I usually ask people about their blood type as well, Cara. Interestingly, though, a lot of people don't know their blood type, but I also align with the blood type. I like a pie. Oh, that reminds me. I have Linda McCartney vegan pie in my freezer. Um, Potatoes are legit like the best food ever. I literally love potato in all form. Just saying. Mashed potato, fried potato, baked potato, boiled potato, sauteed potato. Potato! I would love all the potatoes. Is Jello vegan? Not unless it's made with vegan gelatine. There's weird things that are often not vegan. I'm pretty sure there's actually something called hops in like beers and wines that aren't vegan. Jello typically, and any jelly generally, as in like candy jellies, they're made with something called gelatine, which is something from a cow. I think it's like some blubbery fat. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's like, yeah. And also, some cheeses have actual like animal. Well, I know it's dairy, but I mean they actually have like flesh type ingredients. So, yeah, I don't do the Jello. Although, again, in this day and age now, we're in a time where um, there's more and more alternatives. So you can basically get like all the alternatives. You can buy, um, fuck, you can buy what am I trying to say? Vegan mayonnaise. You can buy vegan cheese. You can buy vegan gelatine. All the replacements that you need to make certain things are now available in um, vegan bone meal. Although I honestly I don't have judgment. I really don't resonate with it because I'm so like, as in I have no judgment for people eating what they eat. They eat what they eat. I just don't typically go down that route because in my being, it's been so long, and I don't align with the cruelty of eating flesh. That's just my personal point of attraction. But I never am here to like make people feel bad if that does align. I mean, I live with a meat eater. I've dated meat eaters. They don't feel the same way, and I accept that. I'm like, okay, so you could look a duck in the eye and crack its neck, and they're like, yeah, I've done that. And I'm like, oh, good, so good. How could you do it? And they're like, well, it's just, animals. And I'm like, okay, I love them all. I wouldn't, but everybody's different. I love chicken, but not in full moons. And I still don't know. Don't know. Ooh, Brenda, I'm gonna message you, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling Clementine. um, I don't really eat tofu. I mean, at this point, for various reasons, but, like, I'm down with, like, even the vegan alternatives, but I gotta say I don't really eat them. I don't eat any more, like, fake, um, ham or even the tofu. I'm in a bit of a phase right now where I'm just eating mostly plants and food, like beans and plant. Do you think plants feel pain? Yeah. I mean, they're sentience. There is still a consciousness to plants. It's in the sense that, Lori, so we know based on experiments, if you were to sit here and totally neglect, or I guess you wouldn't be sitting here, but when you neglect plants, or like there's some branches here, when you neglect plants or don't water them or don't give them, they die. you know, and then alternatively, when you love plants and like give them like omega hot love vibrashe. When you love plants, they thrive. So there is a sentience, definitely. Um, but I still don't think, not that I think that you're doing this, but I don't think that there's a valid debate when people are when people are feedbacking off the whole vegan vegetarian thing and being like, well, plants feel too, and you're like, well, yeah, but it's the um they're a different organism, whereas I say that pigs and cows and the creatures that we kill to eat in quite a cruel way, they're they're feeling a lot closer than what we're feeling. Whereas this in my being, I feel okay about pulling carrots from the ground and being thankful for that carrot and eating it. Where it would feel really different to me trying to hold down a screaming, squealing pig and slitting its throat so that I can have my bacon. Like it's a different plus. I mean, let's be honest, the majority of people are eating food that they have no connection to. They're not killing the cow, they're not killing the pig. They're just going to Mackie D's and having it packaged in colorful packaging. They're not connected to the actual process. Where I mean, I could say the same for even the vegan veggies that I can say the same about our food culture. I want to be more connected to the food that I eat. I endeavor to have land and grow my own veg at some point when I have more of my shits together. But right now, I'm still apparently finishing building a fucking bridge and getting ready to step on to the other side. You guys, I love you. My battery is dying. My batteries, my phone battery, my computer battery, whatever. Does it matter? No, not really. But I am gonna go. I really appreciate you guys being here. You guys are legit awesome. Sometimes I'll say that. I'm like, you guys are legit awesome. And then I'm like remembering that I get to say that to myself as well because I have so much love for you. And then I'm like, oh, feedback. Hot love vibration, like catching the hot love vibration, like rising ourselves up to higher, higher, and higher love. Oh my God. That's, you see, I just looked up at 13322. Thanks. I know it's better. Building with friends is better. I still have carrots in my fridge for my summer garden. Dang, boy, you got to make yourself some saucy. Make it like with a roast, some kind of vegan nut roast, and roast up them carrots. Roast up them carrots with some roasty potatoes, and or maybe some like caramelized, like mouthwatering, caramelizing some red onion and then mixing those in with like gently roasted carrots and maybe something else, but I'm not sure. Thanks, Lori. Sing, Wabbit, sing. Yes, we are continuing to build the bridge. We have moved through many topics tonight. Jolly good show. Oh, this is why I wear hats a lot, you guys, because Molly's ombre balayage is going bust. But that's okay. I kind of anyway. Oh, see, shush, shush you. Have a good sleep, everybody. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for you guys who joined the live share crew. It's really nice to have a growing live share crew. We just go a little bit deeper and cover it, amplifies these daily shares as well. Obey the hot. You know it, E. You know it. Do you guys think I should dye my hair brown back to like that color? Or do you guys like the blonde? Oh my god, I'm so funny, aren't I? My phone died. Okay, bye. I love you. I love you. I love you. Purple. Purple? I could do purple. That would be quite cool. I did purple way back when I. Interesting. Well, maybe I will. You guys don't dare me. Don't. Oh my god, everyone's saying purple. Shit, really? Maybe I will. Maybe I will dye my hair purple. Is that how could I do a Scottish accent? So you guys are seeing the purples in my eyes, aren't you? I'll try. I could do my hair purple. I'll just go to the shops today and see if I can get one of those like just wash-in dyes and then I'll come back tomorrow with purple hair. You wait, you watch. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna endeavor to do it. I'm actually gonna do it. Okay, I love you guys. Violet Melon. We did this yesterday as well. I was like, okay, I'm leaving. 20 minutes later is when I actually go. Strip it. Strip it good. No. Okay, anyway, but I'm actually gonna go now, you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful sleep. And the mermaid hair. I know the purple would be like a step toward the mermaid hair. But like, I do need to get a bit of a trim. But anyway, you would look good in lavender. All right. So MJ's gonna have purple hair tomorrow. I'm gonna do my best, but for real, legit. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I really, 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 really appreciate you guys. And I just wish you exactly, Scott, a blah, blah, blue, blue. A beautiful, beautiful night and day. Christian, what up, my friend? Okay, so MJ's going to do purple hair and we're going to just see if I can afford it. There's a piece. MJ has to be able to afford the dye bottle, but I'm kind of into it. I'm thinking I want the change. Take off, hoser. Thanks for the reminder, Scott. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow with my purple hair, but for real, I'm going to do it. I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Love you. Bye.